People have been saying for over a century that Fyodor Dostoevsky's final novel, The Brothers Karamazov, is the greatest ever written. And yeah, on the surface, it's one heck of a murder mystery. But if you think that's all it is, you're missing the real story. Because underneath, it is this sprawling, ferocious battle for the soul of humanity itself. And it's all fought within one single, spectacularly broken family. This isn't just about who killed Dad. It's about everything. Family, faith, doubt, and the very nature of good and evil.
In this line right here, this is the key that unlocks the entire book. It's spoken by Dmitri, the most passionate and tormented of the brothers, and it gets right to the heart of it. See, Dostoevsky doesn't really care about a simple whodunit. He's staging a psychological war. The real conflict isn't fought with knives or pistols, but with ideas, with doubts, with the desires that are raging inside every single one of us. That's the struggle we're about to dive into.
So, where does all this conflict, all this chaos come from? Well, it starts with one man, the poison in the well, the patriarch of the Karamazov family, Fyodor Pavlovich. And he's not just a character, he's a force of nature, a hurricane of depravity, a man who makes being a buffoon his life's work, driven by an appetite that just consumes everything and everyone around him.
I mean, Fyodor isn't just a bad father. He's the origin point of what you could call the Karamazov curse. This is a man who completely abandons his children, tries to cheat them out of their inheritance, and, get this, he actively competes with his own son for the same woman. He's so repulsive that other characters in the book literally ask out loud, why is such a man alive? His very existence forces his sons and us to look right into the abyss and confront the darkest parts of human nature.
All right, so from this disaster of a father, you get his 3 legitimate sons. And each one represents a totally different path you can take in life, a different answer to the question of how to live. Together, they really are the heart, the mind, and the soul of this whole story.
And this is where it gets so fascinating, because each brother is a world unto himself. First, you've got Dmitri. He is all heart, pure passion, constantly torn between his highest ideals and his lowest desires. Then there's Ivan, the mind. He's the brilliant, tortured intellectual whose reason leads him to this terrifying idea, if there's no God, then anything goes. Everything is permitted. And finally, you have Alyosha, the soul of the family. He chooses a different path entirely, one of radical faith and love, built on this profound idea that we are all connected, that we're all responsible for each other.
But wait, there's a 4th son, the one nobody wants to talk about. Smerdyakov. He's illegitimate, raised as a servant in his own father's house. He is the family's shadow, lurking in the corners. And here's the truly scary part. While Ivan is spinning all these grand philosophical theories, Smerdyakov is listening. And he's not just taking it as a thought experiment, he takes it literally. He becomes the horrifying, walking, talking conclusion to Ivan's intellectual rebellion.
Now we get to the absolute philosophical core of the novel. It all crashes down in one legendary chapter. It's a story within a story that Ivan tells his deeply religious brother Alyosha. It's called The Grand Inquisitor, and it is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful challenges to faith ever written.
So here's the setup Ivan imagines. Jesus Christ returns to Earth, right in the middle of the Spanish Inquisition. And what happens? He's immediately arrested by a powerful old cardinal. This cardinal, the Grand Inquisitor, then launches into this chilling speech, basically telling Jesus, you messed up. You gave humanity freedom, but they're too weak and pathetic to handle it. So we, the church, have corrected your work. We took their freedom, and in exchange, we gave them happiness and security. And this lays out the 2 great opposing worldviews at war in the book. On one side, you have the path of Christ, the path Alyosha tries to follow. It's hard. It says you have to freely choose to be good, and that suffering is just part of how you grow spiritually. But then there's the Grand Inquisitor's way, the easy way. Just give up your freedom, he says, and we will make you happy. We'll give you miracle, mystery, and authority. You won't have to think, just obey. So freedom with suffering or happiness without freedom? That's the central choice.
Okay, so this all sounds like a huge, abstract philosophical debate, right? Well, what happens when one of those ideas becomes a weapon? Dostoevsky is about to show us, in terrifying detail, how an idea can be just as deadly as a loaded gun.
Let's break down the anatomy of this crime, because it's like a moral chain reaction. Step 1, Ivan provides the theory. He keeps saying, if there is no God, everything is permitted. He thinks he's just being a brilliant philosopher. Step 2, Smerdyakov, his secret disciple, hears this and thinks, okay, message received, I have permission. Step 3, Ivan gives his subconscious consent. He leaves town right when he knows his father is a sitting duck, basically giving a silent green light.
And step 4, Smerdyakov commits the murder, fully convinced that he's not the real killer, he's just the instrument, the hands carrying out the will of Ivan's superior mind.
So the murder of Fyodor Karamazov, of course, leads to a massive, sensational courtroom trial. But the real question here isn't just about who physically did it. The whole trial becomes a stage for a much bigger, much deeper debate about what guilt and responsibility even mean.
Now, on the surface, the prosecution has a slam-dunk case against Dmitri. He had the motive, money, jealousy. He had the opportunity. He threatened his dad constantly. Case closed, right? But then the defense attorney gets up and flips the entire case on its head. He basically puts the victim, Fyodor, on trial. He argues that Fyodor was such a terrible, monstrous father that he created the hateful environment that made his own murder inevitable. He says being a father isn't just biology, it's a duty that Fyodor completely and utterly failed.
But here's the crucial thing. While everyone is focused on Dmitri in the courtroom, the person who's really on trial is Ivan, inside his own head. The guilt that his philosophy led directly to murder just eats him alive, and it leads to a complete mental breakdown in the middle of the court. He finally confesses, not by saying, "I did it," but by screaming this absolutely terrifying question. Who doesn't desire his father's death? And that's his admission. He's saying, "My hands may be clean, but my idea is covered in blood. I am responsible."
In the end, the Brothers Karamazov leaves us with this powerful and honestly very unsettling question. It challenges all of us to look beyond just physical actions and to really consider the consequences of our words, our philosophies, our cynicism. It suggests that the great battlefield between good and evil isn't somewhere out in the world. It's right here, in the heart and mind of every single one of us, which leaves us with one final, heavy question. What ideas are you responsible for?